Right. So last time, you went to see Catherine. You went to the prison and did the whole Cullen thing. And then you took the serum that you discovered to get analysed at a chemist, and he wasn't able to tell you very much apart from that it was some type of strange blood that didn't seem to really match up with anything in his experience. And it also had some strange properties, which again he couldn't fathom how it was performing the way it did. So very vague but not very helpful. But I think you just had a couple of theories about how that was sort of working out anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to say Kian, with all this kind of running around straight after being stabbed a couple of times, he's ruptured some stitches and he's decided to go back to the hospital to get those checked out. Maybe Finley's gone with him, just so he's not on his own. Which leaves Paul and Mildred to contemplate their next step. So, I mean, I know I was talking to Laura during the week and she was telling me what her thoughts were, but you didn't get to say a lot last time anyway, Callum, so...
That's very true. I didn't really have much of a voice.
Yep, so, I mean, I don't know if you want to give us, like, your thoughts on, you know, what's happened, how things fit together, and how you think you should progress.
Give him a second to, like, put my thoughts in place.
Yep, sure.
Okay. Because we had the conversation with the woman from Malay, because we went to Glasgow, and we chatted to her to see if there's any other information. And we were also at the hospital, and we we're trying to figure out who to speak to. And, trying to piece it all back in my memory. This is fun. Yeah. For some reason, my memory makes me think that we were in the hospital when we were doing that. So I'm happy that you clarified it was prison. That makes way more sense now in my memory. And it was like that half writing, which was very ominous. Okay. Laura, what were your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I thought they were getting poisoned. I also have now came to the conclusion that it's definitely George Arkwright that he's talking about in his notes with the Cullen and with the letter from Mike. It's all kind of connected with George Arkwright. Whether we know that he doesn't have the stone at the moment, but I don't know if it's best if we go to the Arkwright house. I think there is two stones. There's one stone, obviously the Malay stone, and then there's another stone. And I think because of the pieces, if it gets pieced together. However, I read as well on here about Michael saying that he wanted to destroy the stone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if how powerful that stone is. If the stone's destroyed, will it cause chaos? You know.
Everyone will turn into a shadow over Innsmouth.
Yeah. So I'm in two minds of thinking that we go to the dig, but then I'm in the mind that we need to go to Arkwright's house and just check to see if he does have the stone, you know?
Well, we've already been in his house twice, and there wasn't a stone that was highlighted to us when we were inspecting the place. We also know the maid is angry at us, so it would be very difficult to get into the place, especially with the demon maid. The dig site is an interesting idea. That is, if there is a second stone, because they might have been digging in the entirely wrong place, and because we just randomly looked across the Malay stone.
So when Mildred was in there posing as an assistant to the guy at the dig site, Arkwright did seem to indicate that they had a stone and they hadn't brought it to him yet, and that's what he was angry about.
Ah. Then probably the safest position would be to intercept the stone. So I think Paul's stance would be probably go to the dig site to get the stone. Because if Arkwright grabs it, he already has Demon Ultra made. And how more powerful is he going to be when he gets the thing he really, really, really wants? So maybe get the thing before he gets it.
My worry is that the stone is already on its way to Arkwright, and that we're going to the dig site and there'll be nothing there.
That's true.
I mean, Mildred, you know the Dr. Bennett that's at the dig site. I don't know if you have people or contacts or a method you could use to determine where he is just now.
I could phone the university and ask. I have a few contacts there that I could ask, so maybe that's the best step to take. Just like, phone the university and see where he is.
Yep.
That sounds sensible.
Do you want to just call him from your sisters since you're still in Glasgow?
Yeah, that seems fine.
Sure. So you ring the university, and when the receptionist answers and asks who do you wish to be put through to.
Hi there, I would like to speak to Dr. Bennett.
Just one moment, please. Do you know which department he's in?
The archaeological department.
Yes.
Archaeology.
Yeah, excuse me, 1 minute, I'll check. She clicks off and you're left waiting for a minute or two. When she comes back in, she says, Dr. Bennett is out on an expedition at the moment. Could I perhaps take a message?
No, that's fine. Have you got a colleague that I can speak to?
I'm afraid at the moment most of our archaeological staff are either absent or out on expedition. Who is it that's calling?
Oh, that's fine. Thanks very much. Bye.
I mean, how many archaeological staff do they have in this university besides yourself, your husband, and Dr. Bennett?
Oh, I suppose. I suppose when you think about it, we could just go to the dig site and then just see. What do you think?
I think that's the better option of the two. Because, while I think getting the stone where the random menials are getting it, potentially, there's obviously day or night cultists and stuff, before the the potential leader of the cult grabs the thing that he's craving, I think getting it before he gets it is the smarter play.
Yeah, that's no problem. I think you said that we were poor just now, so I need to ask my sister and her husband for money. So
Where are you going? Oh, just to Thurzo.
So Cynthia will be kind of like, is everything all right, Mildred? I mean, you're not going to work. You're hanging around strange people. Your husband is, God only knows what's happened to him. And now you're what? You're going bankrupt? I mean, are you taking care of yourself?
I'm not going bankrupt, Cynthia. I will be paying you straight back. Can you just do me this one favor?
I don't think you need to roll for it. I mean, she'd be concerned for you, but they have money, and obviously she's going to give you money if you need money. So yes, she'll lend you the money you need to get where you want to go.
So I take it, are we getting, is there a train or is it a boat or?
You'll need to take a couple of trains at least, and then you'll probably need to like hire a car or hire someone to drive you out to Ardnike Kilns, because it's very remote. But yeah, I mean it's a fair bit of travel, but I mean there's nothing that we really need to roll for, because it's, you know, it's there will be Mythos to get there, because it was an operating quarry until fairly recently. Is there anything you want to do or grab or set up before you leave?
That's a thought. How do we want to do this? Do we want to do this aggressively or try to talk our way in? Because obviously, Paul will be your muscle. Not exactly the smartest talker.
Okay, well, I suppose usually Finlay is the smartest talker, but I suppose I'll have to be myself. Yeah, I think we'll probably need the you know, when we were in Rom, we had the sort of equipment that that we were given. I think we'll need that.
So I kept dropping hints to Laura Bish during the week as well, because I think it was kind of important, because she's kind of know what yous are going after and why you're going after it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other questions, you know, who, what, where, when, why, how. But you actually have this clue, and you've had this clue for a long time, but when you're reviewing all your clues before, you've overlooked it. And I tried to hint it by putting it on the landing page. But he still just didn't click on. So I don't know if you both want to roll an intelligence roll for me, and then I can kind of, you know, that's your character reviewing the notes and stuff and remembering things.
Okay.
Well, 5, so that's all. I think that's okay.
I got a 5.
Oh, but you have to pick the lowest because you're dumb, don't you?
I got a 5.
Okay, well that's pretty good. So you're both like going over the notes maybe the night before you leave to travel, just reviewing everything and trying to make sure you've got everything straight and you know what you're going after and how things fit together and you're not missing anything. And you just pull out something that you recovered very early on in that fateful night in the basement of the Corbett house.
Oh god, so one of the first sessions. No wonder I forgot about it.
If I can see with my bloody eyes. If you remember, you found this. It was a horoscope chart, or astrological chart that you found in the basement on the notes on the table. And you've never, you know, figured out its relevance or what it had to do with anything. But Cynthia sort of dabbles with astrology. She has a slight interest in it. She likes horoscopes and all that kind of thing. And she picks it up, or she's like looking through notes with you that night and looks at the table and she says, well, this is a really odd horoscope to kind of have lying around. What's this got to do with anything? Did you get your horoscope read, Mildred?
Yes, but I don't really understand it. What would you suggest that it says?
Well, I mean, it's a future prediction. If you got, I mean, why would you get it done for the spring equinox?
When is that?
This year, I believe it's on the 21st of March.
And what's today's date? Just to...
Well, it's now the Monday, so it'll be Monday the 13th.
Does it say anything else, Cynthia?
Well, it's a very unique alignment. And she gets one of her books, counter references it. Says, yes, the planetary alignment here is something that only happens every 1,000 years or so. It's a very unique occurrence. And she starts talking about how the planets are in different houses and such. But it's a very powerful alignment. It bestows a lot of fortune on those that happen to line up with that date and time.
Does it have anything, a place or anything, a city?
Oh, Mildred, these things are never that specific. No, it's just the alignment of the planets and where the constellations are in the night sky. I don't think it focuses on any where particular on the Earth. But yes, I mean, why was there a reason why you wanted a horoscope for the spring equinox?
Can you tell me anything further about it?
Oh, I mean, without knowing the questions that were asked, or the purpose of the telling, I couldn't really tell you. I just know that that's the date it refers to, and this is the event that happens on that date.
Thanks, Cynthia. That was very useful.
So she leaves the table to put. She doesn't have any children, does she?
No.
Just to
She's got. Yeah. Will they have a farm? So maybe she's
right.
like.
Yeah, finish up chores for the night and stuff like that. Just even more puzzled about what the fuck is going on with you.
Okay. What do you think? Paul.
I'm staring at this horoscope and I'm trying to make sense of it. I don't think Paul's going to do much better.
I was thinking because of, when we went to Rum and we had all the sort of circles and the darkness and, how that all sort of aligns, it could have something to do with that as well.
Okay.
Or it could have, when it comes back to Arkwright's house, they have that basement, don't they? That they do all their rituals in.
Yeah, with so the potential things in the furnace.
Yeah, and also we haven't been to Canardy
Castle. Yeah.
Canardy Castle, so that as well. Canardy Castle could be part of the ritual as well, so. See, if we were passing through, could we pass through like Canardy Castle to get to the dig site?
I mean, obviously by geography, the railways and what's don't really work like that. You can't go straight through the mountains. That's what it is. You either go up to the west, or you go up to the east, and then across through Inverness and up that way. So it kind of is on the way, but with a little bit of a detour. But obviously, I mean, if you go off in that direction, you're going off, the two of you, in that direction, and the two of you are kind of committed to those locations then, ahead of the others. Which may or may not be what you want to do.
Do you think we should wait until Cian is back to go to the dig site? What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's going to take a while for Cian to get better. He was already burst his stitches. I think if we need to go now. What if we wait for Cian to get better and Arkwright gets the stone?
And then also, do you think it might be worth taking one of the books with us?
Not the worst idea you've had, especially seeing as we keep losing the books.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
well, the question is, well, if you don't take the books with you, where are you going to leave them?
So I think taking the books is probably a good idea. Like, it's either if we don't, we're going to lose it, and if we do, we at least know where it is. We're going to be maybe a bit fucked up, but we'll know where it is.
I think, like, if I take the Secret Watcher and then you take the Black Book, it's probably...
And what about the third book?
Oh, we got another book.
The first book you got, the Libri Bonus. The one that kind of drove your other colleague half mad.
Was that the Libra-Lonus?
Libri Bonus, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Secret Watcher was the
Oh.
one you got from the island, and the Black Book is the one that you got from the cathedral. So the Secret Watcher had, I think it was a ritual to commune with the stars, or the dark star, or something like that. And the Black Book was the one that had the song. The Libri Bonus is one that you gave to someone to look at, and he kind of went half mad. Finlay held on to it, and then he had an episode where he didn't remember staying up all night reading it. But nobody's actually spent the time to sit down and study it.
I think
What?
probably should we get like Paul to maybe have a try reading at it? He's not very smart, so if something goes wrong, it might not kill him.
Yeah, I'm thinking because Mildred's got, like, the intellect that it affects her worse because she's got, like, education and intellect. So I think that's, yeah, I think if Paul reads it, it might not be so bad.
I think
Even-
Paul would
even if-
probably. On you go.
I was going to say, even if Paul read it and then Mildred tried to decipher what he was, like, saying, you know?
I mean, you could have like a joint role with Paul leading it, if you just want to do it that way.
Yeah, as in you could read it aloud and
You
then...
do do share risk by doing that.
Yeah, I think Paul reading it and then going, "What does this word mean?" Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Roll
Do you
2d6.
do you want to do that while you're traveling? Because obviously it's going to be a long journey. It's definitely something
think-
you could do.
I think so. Like, just do that on the train journey, just to give us something to do.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
and to be clear, where's the destination that we're going for? Are you going to do the Kinnaird Day on the way to the dig site, or do you just want to go straight to the dig site because it's a matter of timing?
Possibly the dig site.
I think the dig site personally, because it's that matter of urgency.
Yes, makes sense. You could also do the castle on the way back if it's not as important.
Yeah, like if it's not there, then oh well, okay, the castle then.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to go kind of past it on the way back.
Yeah, that seems logical.
Right. Okay, Paul. So you don't have any skill for like Mythos or anything like that, do you?
I think I've got a library. I will just double check
Library, yes.
that.
I think,
Why is Adobe recovered things? I don't need it to recover things.
I think
Yeah, I've got library use. That's the closest I've got.
that's more for like searching records and things like that.
But I am dim, so 2D.
Right. Well, if she's helping you, you can upgrade that so you just roll a single die.
Well, it's better than worse of 2. And I have 2 luck. Shall I push that up
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
to a success? Because I think I need 2 to make it a full success, or just 1 to make it a success, but isn't it?
Well, because obviously it's related to going mad and things like that, pushing it to a 6 will give you a greater understanding, but it will also cause you stress.
Maybe not do that.
If you do 4 or 5, you'll get a rudimentary understanding, but you will not take stress.
I think stick with the rudimentary understanding.
Yeah, let's
Okay, so the book is full of dark rituals, summonings. It talks about demons and dark spirits and such coming from other planes, far off into the stars, things like that. But you know, bearing in mind what's happened to the people who've read this book previously, you maybe don't delve too deeply into, you know, the details of these rituals, and therefore you do not actually learn how to perform them. You recoil and pull away before the itching, scratching behind your eyes, you know, gets deeper into the recesses of your brain.
Cool. You know, black scratchy eyes, great.
But yeah, so I mean, you get an idea for what the book is about and its focus without actually learning how to perform the things that it's talking about.
So I imagine like Paul would probably sort of close the book and he's actually probably sort of saying this out loud to Mildred to act as like Mildred's probably smart enough to know to use Paul as a go-between to try and like filter out the crazy. And Paul's thankfully not smart enough to realize the danger he is in by saying these things.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're passing information between the two of you, you know, some of the information is kind of lost, you know, as you're kind of going through two people in that way, and that maybe prevents you both or shields you both from, you know, the deeper details and the harm that it could cause to you, to kind of bring about that full understanding. Right, this could be a very long train journey.
So I was gonna say, could I could maybe read the Watcher book?
I think you studied the Dark Watcher book. No, you didn't, did you?
Studied a bit of it, I think.
Did you study it once before? I mean, you can try again if you want, yeah. But you do risk stress in doing so.
What do you guys think? I've only got one stress, so. Do you think, Paul?
I think holding the stress for life-crippling, the luck for the stripper stress things that could potentially kill you might be the smarter play.
Yeah, maybe hold off on it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you actually already uncovered the secret watcher thing, because it was a ritual that you did within Stone Circle on a moonless night, which you know is what was going on with the burned man on Rum
I
Island.
wonder if that'll work for when we encounter anything else. You know, the song.
Oh, the song from the other book.
Yes.
Well, you don't know. Maybe.
Can I do a sort of spot hidden to see if there's anything in the train?
Sure. There you go. So, I mean, the initial train up past Aberdeen's quite busy. There's lots of workers, you know, going up that way. The further north you go, the emptier the trains get. You have to change to go past the Kinnaird Castle way. I can't remember what that thing's called. On the way to Inverness. When you get to Inverness, you know, the train is almost vacant. The following one after that, when you're going up north again. To Ardnike.
Do I notice anybody like that's, you know, that's going the same journey as we are?
Oh, I mean, like I said, the further you get, the emptier it gets, and it becomes very clear when you're, you know, a few stops away from where your final destination is, that you guys are going to be on your own here. It looks very empty. When you pass through one of the villages, you know, there might be the remnants of the final workers from the quarry that are waiting on their train home. They've maybe stayed in the town for whatever reason, for like a few weeks beyond the quarry shutting down.
Quite scary, isn't it?
Ominous, yep.
What time is it at the moment? Is it supposed
Time
to
you
be?
get there, let's see.
Time to get out, says John.
Better part of a day. I mean, you can probably like stay overnight in Inverness on your way up there. And then you would have to wait for the next train that's taking you north there, because I don't think they're going to run that often, because it wouldn't be worthwhile at this stage in history. But that's still going to be a few hours there, so it's probably early afternoon. Let's just say it's like 1 o'clock after lunchtime. I'm trying to get a name of the village that's up there, but unfortunately I'm having a difficult time reading today.
Just some random Gaelic name will believe you.
I think it's Helam. Helam, Heilam. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Heelanheim.
Helam, but it's the Ardnike. Ardnike is where the lime kilns themselves are, which is this spot up in the north coast. Yeah, so the village of Helam is really tiny little fishing village. Both of you maybe get that kind of creeping sensation, you know, because it reminds you of Mallaig, even though it's even more remote. And you're going to pass through, you're going to have to like, you can't hire a car here, but you might be able to find someone to drive you out to the lime kilns. Or you could just walk, it'll be a couple of miles walk.
Probably the walk would be easier for us, like thinking of logistics, like a car out there that does a taxi. I think walking with potential of trying to hitchhike if a car goes past.
Do we want to do that though? It's like, you know, that could be one of Arkwright's men, you know?
That's also very true. Probably just sort of walking it, huffing it though, the 2 miles.
Do you want to inquire in the town to anyone about anything before you set out there?
Probably
Yeah.
ask about the digs that you've been hearing about. Because I mean, if the quarry's out, seeing a bunch of people come up to do quarrying and digging is probably like raised questions. As like, why have they closed the quarry for people to come up and dig?
Sure. So there'll be a little pub in town, because there always is, the Sodden Heath. And in there you can find, you know, a very friendly bartender. Let's call him Angus, because why not?
Always called Angus.
Yeah, and then a couple of other people are in there, you know, fishermen, just in there having a pint after the morning catch. But, you know, it doesn't have, it has quite a pleasant atmosphere when you walk in. So, what do you want to ask them?
I think I'm trying to think like how to phrase it. It'd probably be the general feel that Paul would be going in and just saying, all right, having a couple of pints, sort of warm up the conversation, saying he's from Edinburgh and he's coming up and he's one of the miners down there and he's heard about the closure of this quarry, but he's also heard that there's a bunch of people coming up to dig, so he's up to investigate, thinking something's no right. Probably throwing around a few things that he's with one of the unions to try and investigate to see if the miners have been done wrong by.
I'm just going to throw this here for now.
So he's basically trying to say like something's no right, something's no fair, and trying to get pieced together who's been coming up and digging and stuff when they've closed the quarry, and thinking it's got foreigners to come and do the work and things.
Okay, so yeah, and you're on behalf of like the workers you're representing.
Yeah.
Oh, are you not a bit late coming up asking about that then? I mean, this was months ago that they shut the place down.
Oh, I understand. It's like, but it's one of those follow-ups because it's the fact that they're bringing up workers to come and do it is raising eyebrows. Now, there was investigations after the quarry, and I'm sorry about that. But the fact that people are up here digging, well, something's no right about that.
Oh, I think you're mistaken, son. The people that are digging there just now, they're with some school or university. It's some historical dig they're doing. They're no digging for the lime.
No digging for the lime. Oh, what? Do you know what they're digging for if they're coming up here?
I think they found something when they were actually operating the quarry, and that's, I don't know if that's why they shut it down. They had a lot of accidents, a lot of misfortune in that place, you know. And I think it was costing them more than they were making to run it. But they uncovered something, yeah, and that's when they sent the doctor up.
That the guy from the university that you were saying?
Aye, Mr. Bennett.
Mr.
Him and
Bennett,
a few kids he'd brought up from down south.
Did they now?
Pleasant lot, you know, nice enough. I've not really seen them for the past week or so. Now that you talk about it, though.
Do they normally disappear for a week, or do they keep to themselves?
They were coming in fairly regular for their teen, but I don't know how many of them are still there, you know.
Maybe I should go up and just have a chat with them, just to make sure. I mean, you can understand the whole how this looks to the workers and stuff like that. Someone comes up digging and things, and hopefully it is just for this school, as you say.
It's a fair walk, but the road's not too bad. This time of year, it's, you know, there's no icy or snowy. As long as you keep to the path, you should be alright. It'll take you a couple hours to get there.
That may be a fair bonny idea. But you've not seen them in a week.
At least a week, aye, because it was the other weekend. They were in having drinks, and there wasn't as many of them as before, because I know some of them had left. They were talking about it.
Is there another
There's at least
pub?
Sorry?
Is there another pub for them to have frequented? You know, because I mean that's a bit.
Oh no, unless they were going for a sail or a trek. No, there's no much up here.
Oh, that's a bit.
But
weird.
I mean,
They
the quarry itself. Sorry, the quarry itself does have cabins and whatnot for the workers. So I don't know if they're maybe just keeping to themselves. Maybe they're busy. But we have been having some troublesome weather, so maybe they've just decided to shelter down.
Maybe. But I think maybe I should just go and check in on them. Something's all right. Has anyone went out to check in on them at all, or just have left them to their devices?
I don't think so. I mean, the place is pretty well supplied. If you want, I can ask if somebody can give you a lift, though.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sorry. This is my partner Mildred. She's up here just making sure I didn't. Yeah, she's one of those legal types. She knows the word, so I don't trip up over myself.
How do you do, miss?
Oh, how you do?
If you don't mind saying, that's an awful nasty scar on your cheek.
Oh, it was Edinburgh thugs.
Oh, it's terrible in these cities down there, honestly. I don't know how people put up with it.
Definitely.
But aye, give me 10 minutes, I'll go see if somebody's around and can maybe give you a wee lift.
That's fair bonny of you.
Comes back about 15-20 minutes later. Aye, Robbie will take you. He's not got a car, but he has a horse and a cart, and he'll be able to take you along the road.
Oh, that's awful kind.
Fantastic.
He introduces you to this very short, grizzled, sea-worn man called Robert.
How do you do?
He has that kind of grey, frazzled hair, and he almost looks like, a kind of friendly dog.
Oh gosh.
He's got those big puppy dog eyes behind the big bushy face and the wrinkled skin. But he looks very friendly.
I imagine like this huge bushy mustache that almost obscures the eyes, kind of thing.
Yeah, and his hair's all kind of like wild and coming down underneath his cap, and it's obscuring his brow and stuff.
And for some reason, when he talks, his eyebrows wiggle.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how you know he's talking, is his eyebrows move.
Yeah, and he's got that kind of gruff seaman, old sea captain kind of voice. And he's very short, which is, the most striking thing about him. I'll take you so long. I'm no busy until tomorrow.
Oh, that's very
Thank you,
fantastic of you spending the time for us, pal. I'll definitely owe you a pint.
When you get outside, you see it's more of a large donkey with this shoddy looking cart with a couple of rough seats sort of nailed into it.
Well, how delightful.
And it absolutely reeks of fish.
Get
More
the
comfortable than
perfume out.
walking.
Perfume out. Some Parma violets.
Ah, yes. Parma violet and fish.
Lovely.
But it's a fairly pleasant afternoon. There's clouds in the sky, but it's not overcast. It's quite sunny. The sea is quite peaceful. The wind's nice. And it's quite a pleasant trip out there to the kilns. Oh god, where's this scene going? So when you get there, it's a shoreside quarry that's been hewn out of the rock. To the east of it, there's a small, almost village of cabins that have been set up in workhouses. You can see all the sort of processing sections where they cut the slabs and presumably take them out onto the pier and load them onto boats to be shipped away. But there's none of that activity just now. It's barren and silent. And as you draw in, Robbie's like, I can hang around for a while if you want. I've nothing on today.
Oh, if you're sure, Robbie, I don't mean to intrude for you. I mean,
Oh no, that's fine.
much
Do you want me?
entertain you.
Do you want me to come with you, show you around?
That would be awesome. Well, that would be marvellous.
You know what, Robbie? That's a fantastic idea. Always good to have a local point news around.
Okay, so he hops off, and you just have to stop every now and again, and let him catch up because his wee legs aren't quite quick enough. And yet, there's like a single street that these cabins have been lined up, and this is presumably where everyone was staying. But it's eerily silent, and some of the cabin doors are obviously not locked and ajar. Robbie starts like knocking on one of them, which is supposed to be the one where the gaffer lives, the headman. And he calls, peers through the window, tries the door again, and he comes back to you and says, "That's strange, doesn't seem to be anybody here."
Sort of as Paul's staring at one of the doors that's like hanging ajar, it's like, it looks like they made a quick leave. Should we at least check in, make sure everything's all right? And sort of Paul, starts going towards one of the doors that's wide open.
So
And if he's not stopped, he'll head in.
No, Robbie won't stop you. He's reluctant to just like walk into these, uninvited himself, but he won't stop you walking in.
Paul will, chap on the door loudly and say, "Hello, is there anyone in there? I'm coming in."
When you open the door, you're greeted with the sight of something is. My brain's failing me completely. Yeah, there's obviously been a kerfuffle in here. Furniture's knocked over, plates are smashed. Jackets that were hanging on like coat stand have been like pulled over, and the coat stand's fallen over. Either someone has just gone nuts and thrown things around in here, or there's been some sort of fight.
So Paul is slowly sort of walk in, make sure not to disturb anything as he's going, just keeping an eye on things, seeing if there's any. I guess he's looking for blood more than anything. Like if there's all this damage, but has there been any impacts of like
Sure.
bleeding or wounds or things?
Do you have
You
spot
want me
hidden?
to? That's what it
does.
says. Oh, you have it as well. Okay.
Which I'm guessing because he's dim is 1 dice.
Yes. Do you want to roll a dice as well, Mildred, since you can help?
Yes.
He's probably just too focused on trying to like move stuff out of the way.
Oh, I got 6
Aced
6.
Oh,
Critical success.
That's wasting your 6 there.
I totally have.
Yeah, you're pulling things, turning them over, looking around. You know, there's no sign of like a violence besides things being knocked over. But Mildred, you find in one of the corners, you know, on one of the walls, a symbol had been scratched into it, and it's a symbol you recognise because you've seen it once before. Do we actually have
You
the
got the
image down
symbol
here?
there.
Oh god damn, we don't seem to have one in the handouts. Yeah, give me 1 second. It's a series of lines with arrow points, like nail heads almost, on the end of them.
The triangle? The triangle one?
No, not a triangle. It was like a star thing. Here it is.
Oh,
Oh, it's-
Paul, we've seen this before.
We have.
Yeah, so it's been scratched in, very, very shallow. So it's not been scratched in with a knife. It's maybe been like a fingernail or a tooth or maybe like a small pin or something like that. Put it up in the corner.
And so Paul starts stares at it. Well, at least we know we're in the right place.
Yep. So this is definitely Arkwright, isn't it? With the Michael Thomas.
Oh, for sure. Although this might explain why he's not had his stone. It looks like they've all disappeared at least a week ago. Because it took us, let's just think time-wise in regards to we were down there, it probably took us, let's generously say 2 days to get up here.
Well,
Yes.
that was I said that was the Monday. Then you travelled and be overnight Inverness, so it's now Tuesday the 14th.
Yeah.
And we got a recall because I think it's Michael Thomas, but it could be the Dagons. So can I roll the dice for like a recall thing?
Yeah, sure. Roll 2 dice. You just try to remember what you decided before what this was linked to.
Yeah. Ooh, got a 6.
Yeah, before with the stone when you had it interpreted in the cuneiform, it was to do with a deity of like fertility and God, what's the word? You know, like a plentiful crop, wealth.
Was this in Malik?
Malay, and also of the interpretation of the stone that you had done.
So was this the black stone that we had, like the fish stone?
It's related to that, yes, and the Dagon, yes.
Okay, so I'm thinking that there was a kerfuffle between the Dagon and Arkwright's crew, as in Dr. Bennett and the sort of Arkwright Cullen crew and the Dagon.
Right. Most likely.
My worry is who has the stone.
As if they know the stone's here.
But is that why Dr. Bennett came up here, though? Didn't he? He came up here because they knew the stone was here. So maybe we should look further into all the sort of cabins and see if there's anything else that's,
Aye, and then we can maybe, after we've looked in these cabins, we've not found it, we can go and check the dig site for ourselves. You never know, maybe some of those bat things have devoured them all like they did the priest.
That's very true.
So Robbie is going to be very reluctant to start going through places where, he doesn't know that you've really got permission to start digging through.
Oh no, Robbie, don't worry. If you're not comfortable doing it, you've done us a pleasure, but something's no right here. It looks like there's been a fight going on. We're just going to have a look around, see if there's anyone out. If you see anyone, just give us a shout, right?
Well,
Hopefully they're okay.
would you be alright walking back yourselves, maybe? I don't really want to get involved in, anything.
I think it would be best, like, if you stayed, but just, how about, like, we'll just meet you at what's called that cabin there, like outside that cabin. And then we'll head back once we've had a quick look.
Do you want to roll one dice for me, Mildred?
This is when I'm not gonna get it, isn't it?
You used up your sixes already. Oh, evidently not.
Oh my goodness!
Okay, he's, he also doesn't want to leave you here alone when something may have happened. So he agrees to kind of just like sit down, have a smoke, maybe read the paper or something by the edge of the cabins until you're done whatever you're doing. And he also seems convinced that maybe you do have some authority to be going through and finding out what's happening here.
I think I've probably used up all my luck, haven't I? And then we're gonna have a big major thing, and then I'll be like, "There's
One.
There's no Finley to like."
Or maybe it's just
you know.
balancing out because last time you played, it was all failures.
Yeah, that is very true. To be fair. So. Right. Is there any other cabins?
Well, yeah. I mean,
there's
there's going to be close to 20 cabins because there was a lot of workers working here before. So the locked one was the gaffer's cabin. That may or may not have been where Dr. Bennett set up as well.
Do you think we should, Paul, are you able to just like, I hate to do this, but maybe try and find a way of like getting into the gaffer's cabin?
Sort of break the door to have a look in, so...
Yeah.
So, I mean, there'll be plenty of digging tools and things like that to be found that you could use to, like, pry a door open.
I think, well, first thing, of course, that Paul would try to do is just try the door to see if it's locked.
It's definitely locked, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, like, a scout around the building, looking in the windows, if there is any, to see inside of anything. And no result.
Sure, but so yeah, I mean, you can see through the windows. You don't even need a roll for that. That's obvious. You can see in there things have not been knocked over. There's a couple of books and papers on a table. There's a mug, and it looks like it's maybe a tea or coffee in it. It's not been quite all drank. It looks lived in. The bed is unmade. But it's neat. It's not been knocked over. There's no signs of violence in there.
So of all the places, this is probably a really good spot to start with. Right. You say look for see if there's a pry bar or a crowbar or some part of the equipment to try and just pop the door. Pretty rough, like stick it in. Wham.
Yeah, there's plenty of tools lying around. You'll definitely be able to find something like that. Maybe like a large chisel or something.
Yep, and pry the door open.
Are you trying to take care not to like damage the door, or does it not matter?
I'm trying to think what Paul's mindset would be in this. He'd probably try not to cause damage because he thinks that if he causes damage, it'll cause trouble later on.
Right. Okay. So give me a roll for that then, because you're trying to avoid damage.
So just let's say 1d6, I guess.
Dexterity, I would like you to roll with.
Sure, give me seconds. So, strong, large. Don't see much in the way of dexterity that I've got.
So probably just one dex then. Because you're not bad at dexterity. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I don't have agility or stiff. I'm just neutral. So okay, so just 1d6.
Just one dice, yeah. Yep, that's fine. There's
Yeah.
maybe like a little scuff.
Damage to the paintwork.
Yeah, a little scuff around the lock site, but it's not broken in any way. But someone would be able to relock it and close the door again properly. Yeah, so you get into the cabin. The cabin.
Will we roll our, spot hidden?
I figure we'd like to see what's in the cabin first.
Yeah, I mean, you've already kind of got the essence of what's in there. There is a kind of body odor smell to the place. It's not particularly foul or rancid or anything like that compared to some of the places you've been. But, it smells lived in. Someone has been here.
Okay. Well, time to look for the hidden stuff. See what cult rocks we can find.
So the papers and the book on the table, you're going to be able to get them. That doesn't require a roll at all. If you just want to look deeper in that, you can roll.
Definitely. I guess I'll assist Mildred in it because Mildred's smarter and she has spot hidden, and I have spot hidden. So
okay, do you want to roll 2 dice, Mildred, and you can roll 1 dice, Paul? Okay, so from the letters and papers on the desk, you can ascertain that Dr. Bennett was here. There's letters addressed to him from the university. There's a letter he was in the process of writing, although he never finished it, so you don't know who it was addressed to. That letter states that he's uncovered an exciting find, something that's much older than anything else that's been found in Scotland. And he thinks that the funding they received to dig here and have this excavation was well worth it, and he thinks everyone involved will be happy. You can see the books that he's got out and was studying or referencing are to do with like ancient civilizations, cuneiform. He might have even been attempting to make some sort of translation.
This is very odd if he's not fully written the book, the letter to. He hasn't been in contact with the university because he's been on this and at this dig. So I smell something fishy on this.
Yeah, so in addition to the stuff that's just lying out, you find inside the pillowcase of the bed there's a bunch of scrunched up papers, and these all seem to be sketches. He's been trying to draw like these monstrous faces with bulbous eyes and sharp teeth and very fish-like heads, or fishy frog-like heads. These like drawings of very jagged drawings of claws, very jagged drawings of primitive symbols, and just like question marks and what is this and why are they here and things like that.
Oh, it's the fish people again.
It's enough to put you off your Friday fish, ain't it?
Totally.
You may also notice that there's like a space where a pair of shoes or boots or something are obviously missing, because the other pairs of shoes, two of them, are very neatly lined up behind the door. And there's a space there where a set definitely were in between them. There's also no jacket hanging on the coat stand.
They must have rushed out. But who knows about the gaffer? Maybe the Dagons got him.
Yeah.
Or
You know,
maybe
the thing is, the door was locked. You don't leave in a hurry and then lock the door.
or he was a Dagon.
I think that is more likely.
And Dr. Bennett was staying in that cabin, and then it was like the gaffer person was a Dagon. I think that's, yeah. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Now, do we have any clues as to where they went? Like, as in, the only thing we've got really left, so we've looked in both the houses, we've got some papers, and we knew the other property is a fight happened and he was kidnapped. I guess next is looking at the dig site.
So yeah, there's other cabins. There'll be a couple of workhouses, like I said, for processing the lime, the cuts, and then the quarry itself. And there's also a pier, but that's just kind of like a pier on its own. There's not really any buildings or anything associated with it, but it is another location.
Okay, what time is it?
Sort of mid-afternoon, I guess.
I don't think I want to be here at night, because this is when they come out at night. And I think that is going to be not so much a good idea. What are your thoughts about that? Paul? I just think if we're here at night, I think they'll all just come out of the quarry at night. So when do you think will be sundown? How many hours from now is sundown?
Well, for in April, probably a good few hours at the very least until sundown.
What should we do next then? Should we look at further cabins, or
I still think we should find out where, if anything, where Bennett was taken, because someone was kidnapped, and we should still try to look to see if we can find clues as to if there's a trail or something.
do you think maybe just going to each cabin?
Well, why not? We're here. They're all near here, so why not do that first?
Okay, so you want to go through the cabins and you're looking for clues about where they might have gone to.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So just give me the same spot hidden roll we did before. Most of the cabins are open. Some of them might be locked, but again, you're able to just kind of jimmy them open. Is that all threes for both of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 threes.
Sadly.
Yeah, it's the same. Things being knocked over, things being kind of left in a hurry. There's no cult signs and there's no signs of the fish people, the mutant people. There's no maps or indication of anywhere else they may have gone, apart from like here or perhaps the quarry, just because that's obviously what is here. Yeah, there's nothing that's like giving you extra information that's useful. But there is like no signs of anybody. Nobody's here. Nobody seems to have been here recently or very recently.
Should we then go to the factory.
The workhouse processing bit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's full of tools. It's not been used for a while. You can see some of the slabs are still like sitting there at the side, have not been processed yet. There's like piles of lime that's been like hacked out of the rock, like left there to be carted away. There's like some further more refined and processed parts also stacked up waiting to be transported, but these have all been like left whenever the ships obviously stopped coming. Not really signs of a struggle here. You can do a spot hidden if you like.
You know what? Sure.
Oh, it's even worse. It's just getting worse. Oh, yours!
Aced it.
Yay!
All right, Paul, you like knock it. You're like really determined to like find something here. So in these like piles of like rough rock and excess rock that's been cast aside, you just start like pulling them apart to see if there's anything there.
Just pulling the rocks apart, like, aha, a geode.
And then you slide back the top of one of these piles, and you find like the crushed skull of something that doesn't look completely human. It's very much like one of those fish people you encountered before, like a full mutant. Gills, sharp teeth. It's half rotten because it's been there for a few days. It's a terrible, terrible smell of rotten fish from it. And those staring, bulbous, blank eyes.
Paul will just be quiet for a while, staring at it. And then imagine like Mildred will come over because Paul will have been like all this hard work, and then suddenly he's just stopped. And he's like, well, as if we needed the proof.
I'm a wee bit apprehensive about this because, the cart smell of fish, but maybe is there a fishing? Is it?
It's a fishing village, yes. That's
okay.
apart from before the quarry. That's what they did here. But I mean, because you got the 6 well, Paul. I mean, you can tell that not only is this thing being buried in these stones, but something has caved its head in with a rock, and that's how it's died.
So, seems perfectly right, Mildred. You hit the nail on the head. Looks like these Dagon things came and interrupted the proceedings. Now the question is, did they destroy the rock or not?
Oh, we might be back in Glasgow, or we might end up back in Mallaig again for like the stone. I think we need to check the quarry now.
Yep. Seems right.
Yep, the quarry's a very short walk, and it's just like it's portrayed in the picture here. It's kind of like half flooded with seawater from when it came in, or just the rain. Lots of exposed face where it's been hewn. There's some carts and stuff lying around being used to transport the rock, digging tools, and several, deeper tunnels going into the rock face to search out veins.
Can we check spot hidden again?
I don't think we really need that here. There's nothing that you can't find easily that's lying around. It's very open. Nothing's been secreted or covered up. It's very much as it is.
All of the rocks.
The only thing really to find is, like I said, there's a couple of tunnels that have been hewn out of the rock face, as they're obviously exploring for things to dig.
Did we go over to the tunnels just to sort of check, like put the flashlight?
Sure. The tunnels are dark and foreboding.
Oh, what a wonderful combination.
Yes, there's they're damp. The floor's got some seawater in it. There's a dripping coming from inside. You can see like the support structure laid out. It might even be some like wooden rails being put down for hauling carts out. Maybe some tools lined up against the wall. But yes, very dark, very narrow, wet looking. Going very deep.
Can I do a spot hidden?
If you want to get in there and have a look around.
What do you think? Should we go in?
Well, if we want to try and find Bennett, I think that's the most likely place he'll be.
Okay. Double sixes.
Oh, look! Terror!
Yeah.
Gonna get creepy goat noises again.
Yeah, so as you creep into it, you can see it widens out and there's been extensive digging done here. You'd probably be able to tell, Mildred, because of your archaeological experience, that this has been careful digging. It's been done at a kind of slower, more considered pace to uncover things. And you can find, like, you have to go quite deep in before you find a sort of rounded chamber where the mining digging had uncovered the reason that they'd stopped digging here. There's like a solid black wall. It's kind of a very dark granite. And you can see there's been cuneiform etchings in some of these symbols you recognise from the Blackstone when you've had it before. It's not like the whole wall's covered in it. There's just a few symbols lined vertically beside each other. But this is where the miner digging with rough tools is stopped. And then you can see the more considered, meticulous inching away at the rock has been done by the archaeological diggers. Of course, they've not been here nearly as long, so it's not as extensive.
So I don't think they've been here very long, from the etchings and from just, the sort of, it's very early stages of the dig. So
But you do find off to the far right, one of the sort of offshoots that they've been digging. It looks as if at some point the floor has collapsed away, and there's a large, completely black, but very large cavern that they've kind of dug into by accident here. Which would take you, and someone has attached like climbing gear and a rope to go down into this cavern.
well, I bet they have. I just don't think I don't think we can do it. I'm sorry. I just think it's.
Is Laura or Mildred?
This is Mildred. No, this is Mildred. I think this is for two people. Like one strength and okay, and I've got the brains, but I just don't think. I don't think it's. I
You
think
roll so well though, you can't go wrong.
yeah, I would just get ones. I've been getting sixes, and then it's just gonna.
It's a 1 in
turn.
6 chance.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how statistics work.
That's high odds.
Do you want to give me a 1 dice roll, Paul?
Yep.
See,
perfectly fine.
All sixes today, you're fine, man. So while she's going in that direction, Paul, and studying things, you pick up this like little brush, and it looks like one of the brushes that Mildred has in her kit, for checking fossils and moving dust and such out of the way. And then you turn to your left to the side there, and you can see very clearly there's like dried blood spatter against one of the opposite walls.
Sort of, you'll sort of like slowly pan up, just watching the blood, like. And then look.
Yep, you slowly go up your vision, following the light. And then at the top, in between the beams, you can see a body has been nailed up there by the shoulders.
Sort of staring at it for a few seconds.
Do you
It's not quite human. I mean, it looks like a person. It's a young person, a young man. He has no hair. His eyes are very small and beady. His forehead's kind of sloped and narrow, or wide, sorry, broad.
Does he look slightly fishy, or does he look more ghoulish?
He looks odd. It's just misshapen. He might be in the process of looking fishy, like early stages. Like there is some resemblance there, but it just makes him look very ugly.
Sort of like, I'm guessing what he's been nailed in is sort of like, I guess, like railroad spikes or something.
Yeah, probably like the big nails they use there for
Yeah.
the rail stuff. Yeah, somebody just like crudely just like hammered it in there to put him up there.
On the roof?
On one of the beams across the roof, yeah. Do you want to investigate the body?
Yes. Paul would definitely investigate the body.
Are you calling Mildred to help you?
Yeah.
so
As he's walking towards it, he'll shout out Mildred.
Could I maybe have both of you... I think maybe both you take a stress at this point.
Okay. I'm
yeah,
trying.
I think I'll probably feel anxious
Yeah.
and resist taking action or make a mistake.
Yeah, so maybe Paul calls you over and you turn and see the body and you're just like, oh, I'm not touching that.
I'm gonna say probably C, and Paul shouts at Mildred to just get a grip on things. Like, we're here to do a job. Because it's like he's lashing out with verbal violence.
Yeah.
She's obviously shaken up by this, and just watching Mildred, like, sort of, because earlier she was saying that we should go, and now she's seeing this, and he's probably just gonna bark at her, like, just get a grip of yourself.
And your voice, of course, echoes throughout the tunnel, and you can even hear it reverberate deeper through the cavern.
I think we need to go now. I think we need to get out of here.
As you say that, a crab kind of crawls out of the body's mouth and down its chest.
Just sort of Paul follows it with the light, and it's just as it falls down.
Yeah, crab just scurries down and kind of loses its foot and drops to the ground.
Let's just get out of here. I just want to get out.
And we're just going to be in the same position that we were outside. At least here we've got something to go for. At least we also know we're on the right path going by this fella.
When we have like 4 people and then it's just like the 2 of us, it just feels a bit kind of like.
Paul just sort of stares at Mildred. It's like, yes, because taking Kian up here, the bleeding mess, he'd just have fallen down dead. And we couldn't have left him on his own, not when people were out. So Finlay was best to be left with him. It's just me and you here, Mildred. And we gotta figure this out.
Right, so I suppose we're gonna have to go into this cavern, aren't we?
So, Paul, being a miner yourself, would you like to grab one of the mining tools to take with you?
Oh gosh, yeah, he's probably sort of like strapping up with a few tools, like Indiana Jones style.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of want to take a tool as well, just for a weapon.
so they would definitely have, harnesses and stuff for carrying multiple tools, I think.
I imagine like Paul will be quite rough with Mildred, like none of this kindness that he's had, which is obviously because he's quite, stressed himself. So it's probably as Mildred picks up the wrong thing, he's like, nope, this, and just shoves something in her hands. But yeah, I think Paul will gear himself up as best he can with all the mining gear he can find.
Do you want to roll a dice, and we'll see if you can find like a helmet with a lantern.
Oh gosh, yeah, candlelight. Probably found a helmet, but no light.
Yeah, you can find the basic gear you'd expect. So you can find like a lantern, you can find a helmet, but you're not going to find a combination one.
Okay, so we both have that, yeah?
I mean, you can take what you can physically carry, and bear in mind, Mildred, you obviously have your tools with you anyway. Are you bringing your camera with you?
No.
Okay, so it's just your toolkit you've got with you.
Yes.
Yeah, so you've got a satchel with your toolkit in it. Mining tool, big, heavy. If you have a harness, you can maybe... Well, the harness will allow you to descend the rope with it, because otherwise you'd have to hold in your hands anyway. And then helmets and such. But this is more Paul's area expertise, so you know he can be the one to advise what to take.
I imagine, like, let's just imagine Paul knows the right words and right thing to say. I'm not a miner.
Sure, I mean, what makes sense, take helmets so you don't bash your
Yeah.
heads, take at least one lantern so you have a backup light with the flashlight, a harness so you can take the tool. What kind of tool are you going to take? There's like shovels, picks, chisels.
I think not a pickaxe. A pickaxe wouldn't make sense because he's not actually trying to break the rock.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably be a shovel because it's most likely that's
Yeah, shovels.
pretty good defensive because it's a big flat piece of metal and it's also a pretty good club.
So there'll be shovels, a big two-handed sledgehammer, the kind of stone mallets, which are almost like mini sledgehammers, one-handed kind of ones. They'll have those because they use those for, you know, bashing in the nails and stuff like that. As well as like
right.
chisels and nails themselves.
I think probably telling Mildred to take the shovel.
Yes.
Again, purely
but-
defensive, and
yeah.
he'll take the big sledgehammer.
A big sledgehammer, okay. Yeah, you can have that in your harness, as well as your helmets and your backup torch, because the torch will go in a belt, I would imagine. Or the lantern, sorry.
I just sort of like hang off a latch or something.
Yeah, do you want to grab a couple? I mean, you could take a couple of candles and matches and you could shove them in Mildred's satchel as well. I think that's pretty
Just
feasible.
treat Mildred as a pack horse.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, are you just going to continue from where you are? Do you want to go up and tell Robbie you're going in here deeper or what?
No, because Paul will just start going in deeper because he does out in his head. If he goes up there, Mildred might take it as an excuse to just get out. So he's here, so he wants to keep going. He doesn't want to give Mildred more excuses to leave.
I feel as if we're not gonna get anything. All we're gonna get is some fish guts, and what's called one of us are gonna die, or even two of us gonna be like pan bread. That's what I think.
That's the coward's way of thinking.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, I think like the stone's probably in my leg.
Okay, so who is descending this very secure rope into the pitch blackness first?
Paul. I think you probably like try and drop something down the hole first to get an idea of how deep it is.
Yeah, plenty lying around to do that. It drops, it's pretty deep. It's a few moments before it kind of hits the ground and echoes. And just by the echo alone, you can tell this is a huge cavern.
Yeah, and there's like a couple of things that Paul will try to do. And the weird sounding thing is probably try to see if he can pull the rope up.
Just to make a
I
good tug,
think-
to make sure it doesn't just fall out right away.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hammered in pretty solid.
and also just to see like is the rope secured at the bottom kind of thing as well, or is that like just loose to hang?
It's just loose to hang.
Right. Well,
Or else
Paul-
there's a lot of slack on it.
Yeah. So Paul will, wrap it around his legs and start going down.
Are you going to go down the same time as him, Mildred?
Right,
Like
no,
right
it's-
after him? Or are you going to wait for him to get the bottom first?
Paul, at the top, as he's starting, he looks at Mildred, says, "Dinna get on this until I shout up. If you didn't hear anything, leave."
Yeah, okay.
I think, Paul, this is probably a point where your large size works against you.
Yeah.
So you are large, so you need to roll 2 dice for me and pick the worst. Oh, well, that
4.
works out. Yeah, there's a couple of... Once you get down and you're in, like, the proper darkness, there's just the light above you very faintly. And you can still... You test with your foot below and it's still kind of waggling loose, but, beside you. You start to feel, like, worried. You're like, is this rope long enough? Did the rock just hit a ledge? There's a little bit of panic there. But you're able to slide down the rest of the rope and hit solid, maybe kind of damp ground at the bottom. It's very rocky.
That's probably some still water or something he splashes in.
But yeah, it definitely leads to the ocean at some point down here because you can smell the salt.
Sort of, like unsheathing the the sledgehammer and sort of looking around with the torch just to get a bearing.
Yeah, so it's a very irregular shaped, large cavern, natural formed. You can see like the dark sides of it go off into like different crevices and possibly a multitude of different directions. But the cavern itself here is empty. There's like pools of water on the floor where natural moisture is formed. Clearly salt water is getting in from somewhere because you can smell it in the air. There's not that unpleasant smell of like fish that you might expect from your time before in a certain dark passageway.
That's probably comforting him and probably making him more nervous because he was probably expecting a fishy smell.
Do you want to like look around properly before signalling for Mildred to come down?
Oh god, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
give me a spot hidden, which I think for 2 is just going to be 1 dice.
Just having a proper peer around, just making sure everything is safe.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of angles and corners and crevices here, so it's quite easy to miss something if you realize you're going to spend a huge amount of time down here.
And it's probably just long enough. I imagine Mildred's starting to get nervous because she's not heard anything.
Yeah.
And then, up Paul just sort of bellows, all clear.
Just as she goes.
And then, he sort of like pauses for a second, looking up, hears nothing back, and the rope falls down beside him.
This is not the tunnel I want.
Welcome back.
Okay, what happened?
You want to tell me what you found,
The
Paul?
rope fell down.
Oh, that's great.
No. Paul didn't see anything and is shouting up that it's all clear.
Okay, so heading down.
Yep. You don't need to roll because you're much lighter than Paul. If it holds his weight, it's going to hold your weight. Again, you kind of get that feeling once you're in the darkness and your feet aren't finding the ground, that moment kind of terror as you're wondering, shit, is this actually going to be okay? But then you reach the rocky, uneven ground at the bottom. And you both find yourself in this cavern.
Sort of. And as we turn around, we see our Alan.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking
how-
there,
It's like
Hello.
there's Finley standing there. It's like the fuck.
Oh, you came to save the day.
He's not actually here.
No, he's just logged into Roll20,
Yeah.
which is what made
Yeah.
it interesting. It's like,
He must be glad that he's not doing this session tonight. If he is doing this, maybe he turns up and he's in the cave.
Or it's all an elaborate ruse, and he's actually the cult leader of Dagon.
I thought you'd never get here. Okay, so he's getting to the bottom of this big, massive cave, and there's lots of crevices and passageways leading off in different directions here.
I think Paul would just try to stick with the big main artery. Like, he'd go with the biggest one of each of the paths.
Okay, so ignoring the ones you'd have to get on your belly and crawl through, ignoring the ones you have to crouch, ignoring the ones that are super thin, you'd be like side on scraping your chest. You want to go for the most easily accessible one.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that seems to be the joint consensus.
Yeah, because it's like any of these small ones in Paul's head, it's like, how would they take someone that they've held hostage in these passageways? That just seems like it would be awkward. It's most likely if it's following straight through. So following the path of least resistance, so to speak.
Are you rushing through, or are you taking your time carefully?
Oh, Paul is definitely being careful, because he, as an experienced miner, he knows, going down a dark route that you're not too familiar with, that's also wet, it's not a sensible idea to rush it.
Sure. So I think given your experience, Paul, do you want to roll 2 dice, pick the best?
Yep. I just wondering, did anyone else hear a dong, or was that just me?
I think it's just you.
Cool.
I think that was just you.
I think actually it might have been someone sent me a Facebook message. I've just never heard that noise before. It was just this weird doorbell dong. Not a Discord noise.
Yeah, that's definitely a message thing. It might also be a browser. Okay, Paul, so with the 6, you're able to avoid, the sort of holes that could easily injure a foot or an ankle. And oddly, you're able to avoid a tripwire, a very basic primitive tripwire with a piece of string that someone has set up.
I imagine it's along the lines of as Mildred's walking,
Yeah, just to say Finlay's message.
Yeah,
I'm
not that blind.
He's in the chat. And he's on Roll20.
He's mute.
He's in both. He's just muted himself. Yeah, so I imagine he just puts a hand out in front of Mildred, stopping her walking because there's this very thin wire.
Oh, it's not even wire, it's string.
Oh, the string. It's probably point the torch at it just to see if the string is tied off anywhere.
Oh yeah, so you can follow the route of it, and you can see someone has crudely attached it to a pickaxe, which is hanging up, balanced carefully in the ceiling. Someone has kind of wedged it in a gap between, a split in the stone. And configured in such a way that obviously if you triggered it, if it works, it would drop the pickaxe on top of you.
Just sort of swing and skewer whoever it is. Alright, and sort of move it through, and then I guess Paul would trigger the trap, so to speak, because this is obviously the way back. So when we're in a safe position, just sort of maybe use a sledgehammer to push the string or something like that. Or
you trigger it and the string just kind of goes a bit slack. Whoever has set it up, it's not been set up properly, or maybe the thing's been wedged too tightly into the ceiling and it doesn't drop.
Paul doesn't say a word, just sort of looks to Mildred and then starts walking and continuing down.
I think
that's for the best.
A few paces further along in the darkness, you come across another body slumped on the ground with a large rock on top of where its head would have been. and just this kind of, splat of gore where
Do
the brains
we-
splayed out.
Do I recognize like the hands or something? Because you recognize like things.
The hands are sort of dried and scaly looking. This body reeks of kind of rotten flesh and fish.
Okay. Do you think that they're stuck down here and they've just been killing Dagon as they go along?
Sort of, Paul would probably look at this body and then look back at the route. I think Bennett is most likely down here and has done some form of trap system to protect himself from these fish people. And as he says it, he probably pushes over the body so it falls flat on its back from its seated position or something like that. So it just thud.
Yeah, and you can see the loose string lying around the edges here, where some sort of crude trap must have been set up.
Aye, looks like your thoughts got credence there, Mildred. It looks like someone's got it out for these guys, and potentially us if we're not careful.
Well, like I said about Bennett, he stole the credit for my work and he doesn't really like me. So we don't just have the Dagons, we have Bennett as well.
Well, one can hope he's very drained. I mean, it's been a week, so there's a lot of supplies he'd have to look for himself, and I don't think these things, and he hits it with the tip of his boot, make for good eating. It definitely doesn't smell like it anyway.
You hear a laughing echoing off down the tunnel.
So like just Paul pauses for a moment, just closes his eyes, and just sort of he takes his free hand and like rubs the bridge of his nose, like sort of pushing his glasses up.
I'm just like, this is Bennett. I recognize the laugh.
I mean, do you want to try and bait him out? That might work quite nicely.
Bennett, is that you? It's Mildred, remember, from the university.
The laughing stops. It goes quiet.
Bennett, are you there? We're all worried about you at the university.
You hear the sound of like running footsteps echoing.
Towards us or away from
no,
us?
not towards you, no.
I guess he doesn't like you.
Told you so, didn't I? Told you so.
No. There's no point in rushing after him. We know he's trapped the place. Most likely, if we rush, we'll just end up like that thing. He points towards the caved-in corpse.
Do you think he's just went a bit loopy, a bit mad from being in here for a week?
Honestly, Mildred, I'm pretty sure I'm insane by this point. I'm dealing with walking fish people. I'm pretty sure I'm about as mad as Bennett.
Not quite, but yeah. I think we're both getting there.
Either way,
Can
you heard the laugh.
I roll spot hidden?
What are you looking for?
Well, looking for him. Can I not roll a spot hidden to see?
He's not hidden around you right here, so you're not going to find him.
Can I roll for navigation?
For what? To try and circle around him in the tunnels and cut him off?
Well, I suppose that seems the most logical thing, doesn't it? That's what we're here for.
Because
isn't
he's
it?
kind of off in one direction, and there are like crevices and stuff leading off in other directions. So I mean, if you want, you could try and navigate at a direction that you think might bring you around to him without going directly along this path.
No, I don't think that seems to be a logical. Because you said it's like crouching and crawling, that just.
Oh yeah, I mean, this
no.
is a natural cave formation, so it's very uneven. Yeah. So you could run after him, or you could just keep going, creeping that direction.
Can I sing the song?
You're free to sing the song anytime you want. I will make you literally sing the song though.
I'm not singing as in tune. I'm just gonna be like read it out.
That's fine if you want to do that.
Kirk gerega vol gerega rara fureg graugeker gur kerek krak urech hur fekech hawith geger agur.
Nothing seems to alter or change.
Okay, well, it was a show. So we've got the flashlight. Can we not like flash to see if there's anything?
Oh, I mean,
can we see him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you're just shining the flashlight ahead of you anyway to see where you're going. You could hear him, but you know he's further off, maybe around a corner or something that you can't see him from here.
I think as well. My theory is we're chasing a madman.
Oh, at what point did you think he was going to be sane, Mildred?
Oh, I know that, but at the same time, is this not? What if he doesn't have the stone and he doesn't have any information, and we've just went all the way down here for nothing?
Then we'll have something, because then the stone was never here. If this is Bennett, then he most likely would have the stone, because why else would the Daganites be chasing him?
That is true, actually.
And if the Daganites are chasing him and he doesn't have the stone, then that in and of itself is interesting.
Yeah.
But if he does have the stone, then we're on to something. If he doesn't have the stone, that opens up more questions.
We might have to fight him for the stuff.
I can see you're there, Alan, but you know you're mute, right?
It took me a while to find out how to actually switch the mute off, but yeah, I mean, I felt like I didn't want to interrupt at this point.
No, I mean, I'm doing one with Swindle tomorrow. If you want to just do one with him, it'll be a short one.
Yeah, maybe. That might be a better shout, actually. Sorry I've been screwing everybody around tonight. It's been several of those days at once.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what time I'm going to do it tomorrow, because I think he's available kind of later. But it'll be a short one. You're welcome to just do it with him if you want.
Fair enough. That might be a better shout, actually, yeah. Yeah, I guess if that's alright, that might work out better, yeah.
Okay, no bother, that's fine.
Cheers.
Cool.
Bye, Alan.
Cheers, Finley.
Cheers.
Alan.
Cheers.
Okay, where were we?
We're at the cave.
Yes, and you're just going to after her, yeah.
Best things first is trigger the traps, I guess. Like, the most likely thing is he's just led us down the route where there's more of these tripwires and traps, so I'll lead the way, but just keep an eye out for more of that string or loose rocks. Goodness knows what he's concocted down here.
Okay, so I mean, you know what you're looking for now, and you're an experienced miner, so you'll be able to spot things that aren't really kind of meant to be here. Most likely. So I don't think you need to have your roll for it. You keep following, and if he's still moving, he's been very quiet about it now because you don't hear any more footsteps echoing or rattling around. You don't hear any laughing or shouting. You do find an opened up chamber. Like a small semicircular sort of one. And this seems to have been where somebody was holed up. You can see the remnants of a campfire. You can see half a dozen bodies, young people, men and women, mostly men. Well, yeah, give me a roll for investigating.
Just checking to see if they're human, basically.
At glance, they look very human, yes. But you can look closer.
I think he's probably more looking through the room, so I'm going to say it's just more of a passing glance than an actual thorough look at them.
Sure.
Because he's like, they look like fish? No. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can roll one dice to just chip in anyway.
Okay.
Because there's another set of dice, so that was good. Yeah, so these look human. Mildred, you might even recognise them as being people who've been on expeditions before to help out as volunteers or students in the university.
Oh, Paul, these are like some of my colleagues and some of my students that have obviously came here and helped out, and Evil Bennett has taken them, to this expedition.
They are all, there are various different wounds that would suggest how they died. Some have vicious claws and tearing and ripping around the throat and the face. One of them has clearly had their head bashed in. Another one seems to have had like several large piercings stabbing into their chest, maybe by one of those nails or chisels that you saw earlier. And the one that was stabbed is also been gnawed upon. You can see teeth marks in the sort of fleshier part of the body.
Well, any of these Bennett by chance?
None of them are Bennett, no.
And sort of, Paul would probably pause the light over like the bite marks. At least we know what he was feeding on.
See in this chamber as well, there's one of the parts of rock here has been flattened, like smoothed down. Not by a machine, not that smooth, but it's been like sanded down. And some of those cuneiform symbols have been scrawled in here as well, in blood.
Well, again, we know we're going to go in the right direction. You don't by any chance see a stone that we can grab and leave, do you, Mildred?
Well, no.
Yeah. What's the likelihood that we think Bennett has ran off and is currently holding the stone?
Yeah, I think that's 99.9.
I'm pretty sure probably Bennett's staring right at me right now.
You suddenly hear a large banging, the sound of stone on stone or metal on stone, perhaps the thudding, the slight cracking, crumbling sound of stone face very close to you, like to the side of the entrance of this chamber.
I'm going to immediately think that this is Bennett trying to cause a cave-in to lock us in the room.
And you'd like to do what?
Figure out where the noise is coming from. I'd like to say using the mine experience to try and sort of figure out from the echoes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious because it's that close.
And head towards it wielding the hammer. Try and figure out to stop it.
Are you rushing out?
Yes. The fear of cave in is probably way too high for him to be sensible.
Yeah.
Probably knows it's a trap, but
What's your athletics? Is poor, isn't it?
athletics. I'm guessing if you're going by Dick's
Fitness.
he's out of shape.
Yeah, so 2 dice and worst.
So 1.
What disparity?
Oh goodness, no.
What disparity? Yeah, you rush over to the entrance of the chamber as quickly as you can, Paul. Just in time for a chunk of rock to fall down and hit you on the side of the shoulder. You take a pain.
Oh Jesus. That's why we weren't going to go in here.
I think it's like /R 1 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I just missed the slash. I lose my footing.
Oh, that makes sense. So this big chunk lands on your shoulder, and just the weight of it and the emotion, just causes you to trip and fall on the ground. You fall flat face down. The sledgehammer kind of crunched underneath you, and as you do, off to your side, you can see in the panel a barefooted a figure with something held under one arm and a large mallet in the other arm. And upon, you give him a bit of a fright as you land beside him, and he takes a step back for a second, and then he raises the mallet and tries to bring it down your head and starts laughing hysterically as he does so. So what would you like to do?
Roll out of the way. I mean, if he's coming at me, trying to lunge at me, he's
Yep, so that's kind
probably
of
not getting hit.
yeah, so that's kind of a dodge, so probably dexterity, so that's 1 dice for you. Yep, you roll expertly out of the way, out from under the rock. The mallet hits the ground, cracks into the solid stone. Yeah, and the guy just kind of like screams just abruptly and runs off along the tunnel away from you.
So, try to get back on his feet. He's got the stone, Mildred. He has the stone.
I mean, I think with a 6 you're able to roll away and get on your feet in one kind of fluid motion.
Right. Oh, it's very. Oh, wow. He's incredibly dexterous.
Oh goodness.
Mildred, he's got the stone. We need to get after him now.
Yeah.
She's like, yes, stands there in the chamber.
So just sort of, he's holding his shoulder with the other hand. Probably the same arm that's he got the sledgehammer in it. He's holding the shoulder. He's like, Mildred, we need to go now.
Yeah, I mean, you'd had a lantern as well. Is that like attached to your belt, probably? Just to illuminate around
defo. I'm imagining it's probably pretty banged up from falling on it. But then again, I guess they're quite durable anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they've been made to be knocked about a little bit, I think. So I think you're okay in terms of it not completely smashing.
Yeah, so there would have been the lantern on his belt that he's, kind of been using to help light when he holds it and stuff, but...
Yeah, it illuminates the area around you so you can see. And of course, Mildred, that means you can see him as well.
Do you not think that the little dude with the donkey in the cart, do you not think he'd be calling for help, as in for the fact that we went down this corridor and we've not came back? Because he's not gonna go in.
Well, I mean, if you're hoping that Deus Ex is going to happen right now and save your life, then that's not happening though.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, so he runs off down the corridor screaming at the top of his lungs. Paul, you're up on your feet shouting to Mildred. Mildred, what would you like to do?
Come towards them. So
You're just walking out of the chamber towards them?
yes.
Okay, so you walk out towards them, kind of reluctant to really get too involved in what's going to happen here. And what about you, Paul?
Paul will just watch this, just kind of put Cassidy and just start going after the guy, like proper, trying to catch up with him.
Chase after him.
Yes.
It's kind of. So your mind stuff giving you advantage to kind of what to look out for in terms of footing, but you're also unfit at the same time. So let's just say 1 dice.
Yeah.
Yes, you're able to keep pace with him until eventually he turns the corner and he's having to like slide along at an angle, chest against the wall, and slow himself down.
Probably as he's running, try to grab a rock and throw it at him as he's trying to catch up.
Oh, nice. Strength roll, I think, because you're hurling it with strength.
Well, I'm strong, so I guess 2d6.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you like smack him with like effectively a brick as he's trying to get through this passage.
Like, just you slow down, you right, wee bastard.
He like yells in pain. Like,
Yeah,
you're not going to
he's
take it from
so
me.
strong, by the way. He was quite a weakling.
Yeah, but
As far as you know.
he's not doing anything that requires strength at the moment, though. He just got hit by a brick. Yeah, so he's like, he's in this awkward position. He's not moving very fast, and then he stops because you're like hit him with the thing, and he starts yelling at you manically, like, "You're not going to take this from me. No one's going to take it now. It's mine."
Oh, you try and stop me then, you bastard.
And he throws the mallet at you. You want to roll me dex to dodge it? Oh, I think I win from that one. It's the mallet just
Do
like
you not
smacks
have
you.
any luck, Paul?
You know what? Yeah, I'm going to use it like to... I guess I need to spend 2 to put that to a success then, to 5.
You could go to 4 and reduce it to a pain if you want.
Okay, so I'll... that doesn't help too much.
Well, I mean, you'll recover a pain very quickly. But yeah, I mean, the wound will take like ages to recover probably. So yeah, 3 if you want to bump it to 6.
Okay, I'm just going to improve it to a pain then.
Sure. Yeah, so he hits you in the mallet, again, probably at shoulder, your arm, something like that, and it's sore, it hurts, but it's not debilitating you in any way.
Yeah, so just cry out loudly in pain. It's like, you fucking wanking bastard. You could try better than that. Now he's lost his weapon.
If you could, like, lean over and laugh, he would lean over and laugh, but he's just kind of leaned up against this rock face that he's sliding past, and just, like, laughing manically. Wide-eyed and staring as he does so. And then you can see him, like, changing arms to hold the stone, like, further away from you, and he stretches that arm out, behind him because he's looking at you, and he like starts trying to sidle away slowly again while he's still looking at you.
Okay, I'm still making progress towards him. I guess I try and throw another. I guess it's still a bit of distance. Probably throw something back at him.
So I don't know if there's really much to throw here when you're sliding along, but you do have your sledgehammer.
Okay, so yeah.
Which gives you, I mean, you'd be able to like swing at him without getting too close to him because you have the distance. Also, you're very large.
Yeah, I think probably try and swing it at him.
I think more dexterity, or because it's the angle and the space you're working with.
Yeah, because I guess it's more like he'd more be thrusting it in the gap.
Yeah,
if it's that
yeah.
tiny.
Just try to like shove it through and like smack him in the face without getting too close. Which you do successfully, and he lets out a yelp of pain, and you can hear something hit the ground, and you can hear how he gets incredibly upset. And he grabs his hair and starts like tugging at his hair really violently, and he starts crying and weeping, and like a child that's upset that's lost its toy almost. Because of course he doesn't have a light source, but you do.
Okay, now I'm trying to think, what would Paul do in this? He's done the right thing.
Can I do persuasion?
From your position, you want to try and yell a persuasion of some sort, you can attempt that if you tell me what it is you're yelling at him.
Well, I was just saying, like, he can keep the stone, but he's not to give it to a certain person. He's to keep it for the university.
So you're telling him he can keep the stone. He doesn't
can
have to
keep
give. Yeah, he doesn't keep it. He doesn't have to give it away.
He doesn't have to give it away, but he can't give it to Arkwright. He has to give it to the university.
Do you want to throw in that you'll keep him safe or something like that?
Yeah, and it will keep him safe.
Okay, so it's 1 dice for you.
Wait, I have 3 luck. Can I use one of my luck?
Yes,
to
you can
bump
use your
it
luck to bump.
6?
Yes.
Okay, right. Okay, so bumped up
So
to 6.
yeah, so despite being enemies, despite him not trusting anyone, despite all of the factors against us, maybe just because he knows deep down that he can't get away here, he acquiesces. And he settles down, calms down, and he squints his eyes for a moment. It's like, Mildred?
Yeah, it's me, Mildred. We've been worried about you at the university because we haven't heard from you. I was told you were on this expedition, and we've came to help you.
You can see him, Paul, clearly. And he's like looking at his hands and as if he's almost like woken from a trance. And he's looking confused. You can see, he's the guy's got black eyes around his black puffy bags around his eyes. He looks very tired, exhausted, and he just kind of leans on the rock that he's up against. Oh, Mildred. Oh, Mildred, it's been such a day.
And can I take some? I've got some water in my bag, so just give him some water.
Pass it over to Paul, and it's up to Paul if he wants to get close to him.
And
Oh,
Paul will.
Yeah.
Yep. Paul will stare at Mildred in disbelief, saying, "You sure about this?"
Yeah, I think this is the best solution.
So, Paul will stare at the water for a moment. If you're sure about this, Mildred, all right. And he'll grab the water with his free hand and put down the sledgehammer and swap over and offer the water over.
Sure, you sidle over to him, kind of stretched. I imagine stretching the water out at an arm's length.
Oh, God, yeah.
So you're not going to get too close to him. And he kind of cowers away from you in a second, stumbles a bit backwards, and then looks around. Maybe he's realised it's a dead end beyond. He's not going anywhere anyway. And he looks up at you, and he cautiously leans forward and snatches the water out the bottle out of your hand, or the canteen in your hand, and drinks it deeply. Thank you.
I'm trying to soothe the situation.
Yeah,
So
he drinks it. He's like, "Thank you," and he hands it back to you.
Takes it gently back. It's like, you sure you don't want another one?
I can't. I can't leave here. Not now. No, after what I've done. What have I done? Oh, Mildred, the things I've done.
this can be all explained. Your safety is the most important, so I think we need to get out of here and
But we can't,
get some
Mildred.
food.
They're out there. We can't go. They might be here even now. Listen. And you listen, but you don't hear anything.
There isn't anyone here. There isn't anyone here, Bennett.
No, but they might have followed you, and he'll start scurrying towards you, Paul.
Paul won't put up any defensive situation,
Do you want to just back up and let him past?
Yeah, like get out of the way and let him out.
Yeah, so you back up and you're all kind of in the slightly larger corridor. And he sails out and he's barely even paying attention to you now. He's looking down, peering through the darkness and the extent of the light emanating from your lantern. It's like, how? Are you sure? Is it night? Is it day?
It's daytime.
The water, is it
Bennett.
high?
The water isn't high. Come with us.
He grabs you by both shoulders, Mildred, and he's got quite a bit of strength going through there. Although he's so weak now, it's there's not anything that could overpower you.
I'm
So
telling the truth.
I can't go, Mildred. I can't now. They won't let me. But
Can I use persuasion?
He's like, you must go. Yes, take it with you. Hide it far away. They all want it, Both of them, they all want it.
You can't go by your. You can't. You need to leave with us, though, Bennett.
No.
Can I do persuasion?
To persuade him to go with you, you can try 2 dice, take it lowest. Wouldn't matter either way.
Can I use the 2 luck that I have? Will that persuade him enough if I use the 2
It'll
luck?
persuade him to leave with you if you really want to spend your last luck on that, yeah.
Do you think I should spend? Paul, what do you think?
What was that you said?
To use the 2 luck to spend the what's called to persuade him to come with us.
If that's take the worst result, you'd need to spend more than 2, because
So 2,
Well,
yeah.
he said that it was free.
Yeah, but you rolled the 1 because
plus.
it's the worst out of the 2 results, which is the
and
1.
even if you spend 2, it then just becomes a 2.
Yeah, well,
But
it'd become a 3, yeah.
Did you say that free he will come with us though?
No, it need to be a 4. So I was thinking the 2. Yeah, you wouldn't have enough luck.
Does he hand this stone over to me?
He's left the stone in that crevice he crawled out of. He doesn't have it now. He seems more preoccupied with the fact that someone might have followed you or be with you. It's like, no, you go, Mildred. I lead him astray. They can't catch me. And he runs off down the corridor and then dives off into another crevice down the side. And he's laughing manically.
Shall we go and take the stone then?
Aye, it's in that crevice. You're probably going to get an easier time getting it than me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're quite thin, spindly, Mildred. You've got a flashlight. You can you slide along in there and then lean down, crouch down, and you can see there's like a gap that it's kind of hit the ground and rolled into. It's the same kind of half oval shape the other stone was. It's also kind of split along one side. It might be a fair assumption to make that these were once part of the same artifact.
Okay. Do I grab it?
Well, yes, if you want to pick up, you can pick up.
Okay. And then
You have your satchel, you can slide it in, yeah.
yeah. And then I just go out the way. So I think, Paul, I think we go back up and then we get help for Bennett, for someone to come into the mines, to the caves. I don't think we'll be able to do that.
I think Bennett's a lost cause, personally.
Yeah. Let's head now.
Right. I'll lead the way and then start heading back the way we came.
Yep, so back through the tunnels, into the larger cavern, up the rope, into the tunnel mine. It's here. As the 2 of you get to, well, you're just helping Mildred get up the top of that rope, and he's turned to go down the corridor along the main shaft. And there's a small figure with frazzled hair, big beard, just kind of like standing there in the middle.
Hello, Robbie.
Oh, sir. Do you find him?
Aye. He's down in the mines.
And did you get his stain?
No, we didn't get the stone, unfortunately.
He ran off into one of those crevices too small for me.
It was far too small for me. My legs are too short.
Do either of you have like fast talk or deceit or anything like that as a skill?
Persuasion?
No, it's not persuasion. See how
Nope.
good? No, see how good you're at lying. Okay, so what's your appearance? I know Mildred's is medium.
Neutral.
Okay, so roll one dice each for me. We'll use the best one of these. Oh yeah, ace then. So Robbie,
I can even add 2 if that's the case.
if you want to feel safe, you could add 1. Yeah,
I'll add 1
so
then.
it takes it to a 4, which means he's not. So he's kind of gives you a look, Mildred. But I mean, Paul, maybe just your stature itself is a suggestion that people are better off believing you.
Just intimidation.
And he throws you both a wide smile and says, "Oh, well, that's a shame. I suppose he'll come out one day, Ron, silly bastard."
That's if he does.
Are you anything else to do here, or we'll get you back to town?
I think you know, I just want to go home.
It's probably
I'm
best you
tired.
get home. You just come out. The sun it's that kind of long sunset thing up north. That kind of golden period of the late afternoon. And by the time you get back to the village, you'd perhaps be lucky enough to be just in time for the train taking you back to Inverness.
Okay, so we're on the train.
And then you can leave the village and head back to Inverness and stay at your lodgings there. But before continuing on, I'm supposing you go to Kinnairdy next.
Oh, Kinnaird Castle, see what fun we can get up to.
Are you saying we're gonna go to Kinnaird Castle? What are you thinking? Maybe we should go to Kinnaird Castle next time.
Yeah,
we're
I actually
visiting.
wasn't going to suggest doing it tonight.
Yeah, let's not do
Double
that.
session!
Let's maybe we phone in and get like Paul and Finlay to come to Kinnairdy Castle with us.
You mean Cian and Finlay, right?
Yeah, Keen.
Paul's right here! Or is he?
It's been a long time, but do you know what? I'm actually, Callum, I'm actually glad that we actually did that.
I imagine it's proper horror trope kind of thing. Like, you're trying to play it like it is a horror. Like, no, let's not go down the scary path. And like, Paul's like, we need to do this. We're not coming up here to waste our time leaving.
I mean, Laura's not acting. She actually doesn't want to go down here.
So, can I ask though, what's called, see if Paul didn't roll a 6 and like I rolled a 1 and Paul rolled a 1, what would have happened in that situation?
Let's say on the journey back to the village, you noticed that the back of Robbie's neck had a kind of scaly texture to it.
Dun 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 dun.
Just beneath all that thick hair, you could just see like the hint of a kind of scaly skin.
Ah, poor Robbie. The stout fish.
Well, at least we're on the train. We're past the train. We're like in the Inverness now. So.
Yeah, so we end with you at Inverness, and you just can like stay overnight there, and you can call the others. I'll do a thing with them tomorrow to see kind of what their sitch is. And then probably together you can go on to do the castle.
Yeah, what we could probably do is like stay in Inverness until they come up and we can meet them at Canerdy Castle. That seems logical, doesn't it?
I think, yeah, it's like to get to Canerdy Castle, it's either they get the train through to Aberdeen or we get the train from Inverness over to, oh gosh, I think that's near Elgin.
Yeah, it's Elgin. That's exactly the train station I was trying to think of. So I mean, you'll get Elgin a couple hours on the train. Theirs is going to be longer, taking the better part of the day to get there, like 60 hours. And then from there, I believe you'll need to find someone to give you a lift or find like a local bus or something that runs to take you out to Canerdy. Because it is located, I can't remember the name of the village now. I've got my notes here somewhere, but there's a village you need to go to, and that's where the castle is.
I'm just gonna say to them that like we survived.
So yeah, I mean, I know that's a short one, but I figured one location, it's just the two of you. You might not want to push your luck by doing the second one. And this also gives you time that you can actually spend to recover your pain. So any pain you have will be gone.
What about stress? Any
Well,
stress?
you're not able to spend time with your door, so you can't spend time unwinding from stress.
And Paul is far too far away from Agnes.
Yeah.
Did you not say though that like I have her locket with my daughter? You said that gives comfort.
See, how many stress do you have?
I have 2 stress.
Is that all of your wounds?
Don't have any wounds.
Yeah, I think you're okay. I don't think you're...
Meanwhile, I'm like
Okay.
near max. If I got one more, I'm like in gut check.
Oh wow, I didn't realise you were
Oh
that far along.
goodness.
Yeah, but you're gonna
That's not
you're
good.
gonna recover your pain just now though.
Yeah, I get 2 pains recovered.
Yeah.
So I still have like a wound and 2 stress.
Yeah. Yeah, because your wound is quite a long healing one.
26th of April is when it'll be fixed.
Yeah.
Did you not say as well that like if we have chat and stuff like that, if we're talking about, you know, on the train? We're
Oh
talking
yeah, so if you're in character, want to discuss stuff, your thoughts and feelings about it, and share like trauma and things that you're
yeah,
worried
let's
about.
do that.
If you
so
just want to do that,
we
you can recover luck. Yes.
Okay, let's see. Well, Paul, that was like quite a journey, wasn't it?
I like it how you're trying to force dice roll to get stats back to help.
What do you think?
I'll let you do the luck roll because you did have a lot of just kind of two you talking out at the start. So if
Okay,
you want, you
so-
can roll a 1d4 each,
Okay.
and you recover that much luck.
Hey, I'm max luck.
Nice.
No, I only got 2.
Well, getting 2 back's pretty good still.
Yeah, that is actually.
I'm 5 of 5.
Nice.
Actually, I'm 3 out of 10 because I still had that one.
Yeah. And as we've seen, luck is very useful.
Yes, indeedy.
And you have a stone. Just for
Yes.
talking's sake, so you're staying in this little bed and breakfast in Inverness. You know, just typical family run one like you'd expect. Nothing extraordinary about it whatsoever. And you have your books with you as well. So, are you taking any precautions about storing the books in the stone? Or are you just keeping them in the room with you? And are you sharing a room or in separate rooms?
I would imagine Paul, it would probably be sharing a room.
Yeah, I think we're definitely sharing a room.
Like Paul would give you all of the decency. Like he would not even remotely intrude. Like he would leave the room for you to get changed and things, but he'd probably insist on at the very least, most of the time being with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
And also, like, is there a chest or something in the room?
They might have a little safe for your belongings if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so just like put in there.
We just pile them in there without a care.
Well, probably not a safe. I mean, it's probably just like a lock,
A closet
drawer
or something?
Yes, it's probably just something like that. But you have the key to it and they don't. Or that's what it tells you.
Yeah. Yeah, so we just put it in the locked
Yeah, so you keep it
drawer.
locked up, and it's in there with you, and I'm assuming you
Yeah.
take it with you if you're going out somewhere.
Yeah.
So you've always got it on hand and keep an eye on it. Okay. Yeah, that seems fair. Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
have you
say I
found
kind of feel sorry. I don't feel sorry for Bennett because he obviously, well, we don't know if he killed the people, but I don't know. It just seems crazy, doesn't it?
Well, of
Yeah.
course it's crazy.
And then probably Robbie's gonna probably go down later, isn't he? To him and
Deal
his
with
crew
him.
to deal with him, won't he?
And that's his fight to deal with. It's not as if he can try, I mean, like, he can try and track us back. And, good luck to him.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, that was Tuesday 14th. If you're staying over at Inverness, the next day it'll be Wednesday the 15th. And Equinox, as I said, is on the 21st.
So we basically have to keep the stone um, in our secure hands for like the next 5 days.
Seems easy enough. Just rubber faces on it, it'll be all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll do a wee one with them tomorrow, probably like an hour or something. And I'll see where they end up. And then they can get a phone call from you guys. I'm assuming the only places you know to call her your sister is the hospital and university. Maybe Father Campbell. But I'm sure you'll be able to reach each other somehow.
Yep.
Yeah, okay then. Sorry it's a bit short, but
No, I felt as if like that 2 hours was actually really good. Like that was
We
quite
got-
a good session.
We got all the content.
Totally.